Ladies and gentlemen, those of you that are listening, welcome to the Sean and Sack Show. This is going to drive me nuts, man. Do you ever
focus, eyes on the prize?
Look, I don't know.
Be here now.
If it's just me, but have you ever just been downstairs and you're like, oh, I have to go upstairs and get something, and you run right upstairs and you get upstairs and you're like, why the fuck did I come upstairs? I don't know why I came upstairs.
I literally repeat whatever it is over and over and over until I get to my destination.
What?
I feel you. If I need a fucking avocado, I'll be like, avocado, 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 as I'm going to the refrigerator. There's the avocado.
See, I do that, but then I end up in the freezer getting ice cream. I'm like, why did I come in here? Oh my gosh, this is going to drive me nuts. Anyways, guys, welcome to the show. This is how we roll. Babe, you want to kick this one off? You want to start this one?
No, you do it.
No? Mm-hmm. Oh, that's fantastic.
I like when you launch them off.
Guys, we appreciate the feedback. The one thing I want to say really quick, too, is I love Tuesday mornings when we drop these things, like seeing your guys' comments and hearing from you, and it's something that we really do pay attention to. We try and respond to everybody that we can. We get a ton of comments on YouTube, on Instagram. Watching you guys share the episodes has been really cool. Like right before we started today, we were talking with Bryce about somebody who was struggling. Who was it? Bryce was struggling. I was like, sister of a friend? Yeah, the sister of one of his friends, and somebody shared.
Till death do us part, maybe.
Oh, yeah, till death do us part. And just gave her some freaking mojo. And I love hearing shit like that. I really do. Like, the thing that Sax and I have been talking about a lot, is we've both been down, interesting, call it interesting, call it crazy. It's all relative. Whatever label you want to put on there, right? We both experienced a lot of life. We both matured very, very quickly. You have. I mean, I'm still I'm a 7-year-old trapped in a 42-year-old.
I don't know. I was drawing
body
on the bathroom wall yesterday. I don't know how far.
That is true. But the thing that I love about this is we started this podcast to push ourselves, right? When we started, we did our first 2 episodes before we were married.
Correct.
Like episode 1 and episode 2 were literally 2 weeks before we got married. So we started this thing. I think so. It was either 1 or 2. Episode 1 was right before we got married. But I did this because I wanted to not only push myself and push us to have hard conversations, but to put, our message out there. But I think one of the things that's really interesting just in growing this podcast is so many people are so afraid to talk about anything publicly.
Yeah.
Whether, I don't care if it's your kids, school, church, religion, God, money, whatever it is. It's there's this thing about talking about yourself, your life, your fears, anything publicly because of the ridicule, the persecution, the fear.
People are so afraid of being judged. It's who fucking cares?
Well, and I share this simply because there are a lot of couples that listen to this podcast, and there's a lot of people that share with us how impactful this message has been or that message has been, and it's really humbling to Saxy and I, because we're doing this to stretch ourselves, to share our message, but there's also that kind of behind the scenes where it's look, we're in the midst of life like anybody else. We've got kids and dogs and things and bills and businesses and everything else that I feel like anybody listening to this right now is dealing with and living through. I shouldn't even say dealing with, but it's just part of your life.
Yeah, it's just experiencing life.
For us being able to share some things that have helped us and worked and, ways that we communicate, whether you've been married a year, 10 years, you're dating, whatever, I just wanted to express my gratitude because you guys share so many messages with us that really inspire us, that keep us jamming, keep us going, so thank you.
Yes.
All right. So yesterday we had our Lion's Den call. Lion's Den call yesterday was on passion, which is relationships. For those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, the Lion's Den is my private coaching group. We have about 2,200 members in there all over the world, and we talk about savages. We talk about Core 4, which is a system and a process of literally living, running, managing life that I learned about 8 years ago, which has literally become my life. Literally everything boils down to Core 4. If I'm not feeling good, it's because I'm not doing something in Core 4. If this is struggling, it's because of Core 4. But Core 4 is power, passion, purpose, and production. Power is the body, passion, relationships, purpose your mind, your mental clarity, your strength, and then production is obviously, getting the bag.
And keeping them all in
money,
alignment. Yeah.
business, But yesterday was our passion call, and we talked about relationships. And Saxony had a girlfriend, one of our friends, who has just started dating after, how many years has it been since she's dated?
Oh, 2 maybe?
2 years. Oh, it's been more than that. It's been more than that.
Yeah.
Anyway, she's been dating. She just started dating. And it's been a while since she's dated.
Yeah. Just raising kids, focusing on her.
Yeah,
business.
she's got 4 girls, raising her kids, growing the business. The whole thing is twins. Single mom. And Saxony had shared with her a message about kind of the 80-20 rule.
Yeah.
Do you want to explain that?
Yeah. Babe? So most of my life, I was bought into a truth that there was no person out there that would ever be 100%. That there's always 20% that was going to just be off, was going to not really be satisfying, wasn't going to be fulfilling, or that I was just going to have to deal with. And I bought into that as fact and truth for the majority of my life. And it wasn't until... Well, wasn't until I got to the point in time where Sean and I met that I really started to look at that, and I made a new commitment to myself. I rewrote that story, and I realized that that's a complete and utter lie. That's absolute bullshit, in my opinion. Is that ideology comes from people that settle. Mm-hmm. And this may upset some people. It doesn't matter to me, because I am living proof that is not fact.
Right.
According to what I've experienced in my life. And I realized that if I bought into 80-20, then I'm settling in every area of my life. And with you, I can look at you, and you are absolutely 100% the human being that I knew I would partner up with.
I'm the complete package.
For me.
Design the package.
For me.
I'm the complete package.
You may be 35% for someone else.
I'm the top end model. I have all of the bells and whistles. I have all of the freaking extras. All of the deals. Anyways,
you are an absolute perfect fit for what I was looking for in a partner. And I mean that with that's very sincere. And even the parts that are, I would say, difficult are also exactly what I wanted, because I wanted a partner that challenges me to become better. I wanted a partner that didn't tolerate my my insecurities or my fears and my doubts. I didn't want a partner that would buy into my bullshit and sign off on that. And that's the only part that's ever difficult, is when that comes up with us. And now I realized how beautiful that is, because that's what I wanted. And so I can attest to this is fact. And then, we talked about it this morning together, is where this is in all areas of life. You can absolutely have 100% of the fucking life you want.
Yeah.
And only people that don't believe that are people who settle.
Right. The people that'll settle, or the people that have settled, or the people that don't believe this or haven't experienced this, are the ones that'll tell you, 80-20.
Yeah.
Go for as much as you can, find as much as you can, get as much as you can. Do you check most of the boxes? Or do you check all of the boxes?
Yeah.
And I'm a firm believer in this. This is where we tie this into the Lions Den call. I'm a firm believer, with every single ounce of my entire existence, that anyone can change their life in a split second.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that is the power of the brain. That is the power of your intent. That's the power of your just the machine that we are as human beings. Is you can literally look at a situation, you can be in a situation, and in a split second choose a completely different path. You can change your entire course, your entire fucking life in a split second. Mm-hmm. So when you were talking about the settling and this and that and the other, we hear from a lot of couples, and a lot of people respond and share their feedback, and we see this a lot on social media where people are like, oh, well, you guys are this or you're that, or I wish my husband would this or my wife would this, and the whole thing. And it's you guys got to understand something. You have the ability, literally, to design a life, to design a partnership, to design a marriage, to design a body, to design a literal bank statement, and build exactly that. Mm-hmm. There is literally nothing. And Sachs says, you might offend people. we're proving this.
Yeah.
And this is the thing that's fascinating to me is if there could be 10,000 people that would say you're wrong. You could read this book and that book and have all these psychologists and people saying that we're wrong. But the reality is if we're doing it, that it has to be true. There has to be a reality to it. And it's the same thing with the guy who ran, what's his name, who ran the 4-minute mile, whatever his name is. Yeah, Bannister. Before he ran the 4-minute mile, it was impossible. It was fucking impossible. Yeah. Everyone, quote unquote, everyone said that it couldn't be done. It was not possible. Well, guess what happened? That motherfucker ran the 4-minute mile. And then right after him, everybody started running 4-minute miles.
Yeah.
And so we share this obviously with some candor and some appreciation for the journeys that we've both been on and the journeys that you guys are on.
Yeah.
But the real truth is like settling in and of itself is demoralizing. It's the idea like I'm never going to have what it is that I really want. I can't be where I want to be or be filled with what I want to be filled with. It's demoralizing as shit.
Yeah.
It really, really, really is a negative place to be. Where on the flip side of that coin, saying this is the exact, like I felt the same way when we were dating. I was like, I drew everything out in my mind and on paper. I wrote like what you would look like, what we would talk about, how we would argue, how we would fuck, like literally all of those things. And it was like, check.
We even wrote about our bath experiences,
right.
Which is like, we were specific. And I know that might sound kind of off the wall, but if you follow us on social media, a lot of things happen in the bathtub. Like this podcast was birthed in that bathtub. Like we have some of our best one-on-one time sitting in the bathtub,
right.
Or sitting on the edge of the bathtub like last night. And that was in my list of my partner was that quality time in the bath together. I don't know why that was a thing, but it obviously was because that is now proven that that's part of my absolute goal in a partner and in a marriage.
And this goes to that 80-20, right? And this is something that I really want to emphasize, especially for people that have had, for lack of better words, that have had their dicks knocked in the dirt. Mm-hmm. For those of you that have struggled, for those of you that have had setback after setback or relationship failure after relationship failure or fad diet after fad diet, or you can't seem to get ahead financially, like this is a really hard conversation to wrap your head around. Yeah. It's really easy to say, it sounds good, Sean and Sachs, but it sounds great, but you don't understand my situation. You don't understand where I am. You don't understand how bad he is or she is or how manipulative or how I mean, fill in the fucking blank, right? Every excuse under the sun. But the truth of the matter is like I hate the word. I can't stand saying the word manifest. Don't say it. I need to come up with a better word than this. Everybody listening knows what I'm talking about when I say that word, but I fucking hate that word I dislike. I shouldn't say hate.
We need to come up with a new word that's manifest in action.
Yeah.
Made a baby.
I dislike it because so many people, when you hear manifest, you think it's just this, I'm dreaming it, I'm putting it on a vision board, and then I'm literally sitting there rubbing crystals on my nipples, waving fucking incense around and playing with my mala beads, and all of a sudden I'm going to get rich, I'm going to find the hot chick,
Sounds
my
like me
dream husband's going to show up, and it's not that at all. So to me, the manifest conversation around this is literally in your mind. Like I became obsessed.
Yeah.
I am obsessed with things like this. This is like I vision things. I have seen myself literally walking up and down of the stairs of Air Force One thousands of times. I'm not exaggerating. People laugh at that. It's funny. Well, motherfuckers, I mean, take a look at my life right now. I've got the girl, I have the businesses, right? Like, I'm not saying this to brag, but the reality is I was in a situation where I was dating. I'm just going to use this very, very generic situation, which a lot of people listening to this are. Middle-aged dude, divorced, all of the baggage, all of the stories, all of the bullshit I'd been lied to, cheated on, gaslit, blah, 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 blah. Like, I should still be in, mind-fucked land, dating 25-year-olds, swiping on Bumble all day long, and yet here I am literally with the exact woman that I created in my mind. How did that work? How does it happen, right?
Yeah.
Take that idea of manifesting and put it in your brain and understand that when you become fucking obsessed,
that's it.
Obsessed with something like this, with anything, your sex life, your money, your business, your body, when you become obsessed in your mind to where you're literally visualizing these things, you can't not go do the work. Now, here's what I want to say on this, because this is really fucking important. This goes to the 80-20. which is radically fucking powerful. If you have a vision, okay, you have this, let's just use you an example, guy and girl, meeting, couple. You have this vision of this woman or man, and here's the 25 boxes that you have that you want this person to check, right? Our culture, our society, our world, how we've been programmed is, dude, you got a solid 19. Well, 19 boxes? That's better than most. You know what I'm saying? Oh, shit. Your mom's going to be like, well, he's so good with all of these things. Yeah, but mom, no buts. He's got a good job and he has a car and all these other things. And your friends are going to go, well, he's so good looking. And apparently you guys have great sex. Like, and that the mind is telling us, just take that. Just take it. Just take that. That's the best
good.
that you're going to get.
Good.
That's good, right?
Good.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's not what you want exactly, but just go there. Just do it, right? And this is how we're programmed.
Yeah.
This is why people, in my opinion, settle with shit jobs, who were in half-assed, mediocre relationships at best.
Yeah.
We feel like we go to the gym 6 days a week, we break no sweat, and we're like, they're just destined to have freaking man tits. It's not the case at all.
Yeah.
It's because you haven't become obsessed, number one, but number two, I think the word that's the most important thing with this 80-20, what we were talking about this morning, is having boundaries.
Yeah.
Like, this is something that I am a massive advocate of, but I live every single day. I have visions with my business. I know exactly where I'm going with my businesses. Do I pivot and change and adapt and go? Yes. But if something comes to me that is not going to get me to my target faster, more efficiently, it's a no every time. I don't give a fuck how shiny the penny is. I don't care how dope the deal is. Relate this to relationships, right? You have this vision of exactly what you want, and something comes along and there's 19 out of the 25 boxes checked. You have two choices. Try and sell yourself, manipulate your mind, go with the flow, and for lack of better words, settle, or it's a hard fucking no.
Yep.
It's a hard no. And I would have you guys
If
consider.
it's not a fuck yes, it's a fuck no.
Exactly.
Period.
I'd have you consider for a second, though. A lot of people I think are listening to this going, yeah, but. Like, forget all that for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Like, this is, in my opinion, a skill set. The ability to say no, the ability to pass on things that look good, smell good, seem good, but are not going to get you to your target. They're not going to get you to your goal. You have to become obsessed with saying no.
Yeah.
You have to be fucking ruthlessly committed to saying no to things that you know, it seems okay. It seems great, actually, but does it check the boxes?
Yeah.
And is it exactly what you want? And I think a lot of people get frustrated probably with this conversation because there's probably a lot of single dudes out there that are like, yo, dude, have you been in the dating game, man? These bitches are crazy. And there's probably a ton of chicks that are like, fuck guys, they're all assholes, they're all the same,
bitter.
right? And so I understand that. We understand that
Yes.
very well.
Very well.
But we've proven the science of it otherwise.
Yes. I had you will experience this emotional tug of war of your heart and your soul, knowing that this is that exists, that what you desire does exist.
Yeah.
It does, no matter what you're talking
I knew
about.
it. I knew it.
I
fucking knew it.
wholeheartedly
When I
that you
designed
existed.
you,
Yep.
I knew that you existed.
Yes.
I knew it. It wasn't a question of if.
Yeah.
It was just a matter of how and when. I knew that I knew that it was possible.
Yes.
Like the same way that I see money or deals or business or the car or the race or Air Force One or the abs or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like I knew that was possible to have exactly what I wanted. I knew it.
And you will have this war within you, and you will want to give up. It's like people who run marathons. They talk about this. It's like everything's saying stop, everything's saying quit, but you don't fucking quit. You stay the course. Like I've shared this story before where I was sitting on the stairs of my house and I literally collapsed and I just started bawling and I was like, what? Like,
Where's Sean?
Where's
Sean?
I was like, what is it? Like, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? Like, I was like, I feel like I checked all the boxes for being awesome. I'm like, what am I missing? Like, my girlfriends are getting married and they're engaged and these guys are thriving and I'm over here like kissing all these fucking frogs, which no offense to those frogs, they're all great. Most of them were great, and they weren't all great, but most of them were great, but they weren't it. Like, it was like that 80-20, and I had to sit there and be like, do I want good enough? Do I want pretty good? And I never said yes to that. And even though it was so hard and so lonely and such a war within me, I don't even know how, it is a war. Because you're fighting against
mediocrity.
It's like the force of average, right? Like
right,
you're
what Ryan Stewart talks about.
Yeah, force of average. I vibe with that so much, and I had to sit there and I had to just say, you can settle, Saxony. You can have good enough. There's many good enough options right here, but I had come too far, and I had too much conviction, and I'm too big of a dreamer and a manifester, because I too have created things that I never thought that I never thought would be that exist today, that I couldn't quit. I just couldn't. I couldn't do that. And so I would go through those pity party cycles, and I'd pull my shit together, and I'd carry on. And it's even when we first dated, it was the same thing. It's like you weren't 100%, and that's why we broke up. But I also wasn't 100%. And that was a cool reality, is like I held up a boundary, and it was like, no, like you weren't showing up in the way that I expected my king to do, nor was I as that queen. And that was what was really, really cool, is I modeled to myself that I could say no, even with all these shiny pennies. Like you were a very shiny penny.
I was a shiny nickel.
You are the shiniest.
I was a shiny
you were
half
almost
dollar.
a quarter.
Almost.
You were a straight dime for
No,
sure.
but think about it. You said no. Like,
I said no.
That's
I
what
couldn't negotiate.
is really, really powerful to understand around this. Is like, 1.0 for you and I. Like, there was a lot of chemistry. There were a lot of things there. We had a lot of great conversations that were like, yo, this is like whatever. But it wasn't 100%.
No.
You weren't 100 and I wasn't 100.
Nope.
And so you had the boundaries and you made the move. And again, this is what I truly believe about life. There's no such thing as coincidence, but I had to have that. That was one of my things, is I had envisioned having this woman that had the ability to stand not up to me, but with me, saying, hey, pal, here's the rules. Here's my rules. And not just being tossed to and fro and the whole thing. And so we've talked about this before. Like, when you broke up with me the first time, I was like, part of me was like, get the fuck out of here. How are you going to break up with me? But then part of me was like, damn, that's hot as fuck. Like, that's sexy as shit. Like, no one's ever broken up with me before. I'm being totally serious. That's the reason I never blocked her or shut her off and moved on. I was like, fuck, man. That's literally one of my things. That's one of my boxes, is I want a chick who's like not just going to roll over, because that's what I had experienced in the past, is, go wherever Sean says to go. I'm like, I want my woman to have conviction. I want my woman to be able to say no and to hold me accountable, right? And not let me be a total pussy or whatever.
I love that you said conviction, because that is one of the sexiest things in a partner, in my opinion, and people with conviction. Because there's a lot of, this could be, there's a lot of people out there that they expect a lot, but they're not rising to be a lot, to become a lot. And I see that, and that's where some particular people will probably be forever single.
We were that.
Yeah.
We expected,
totally.
Go. I don't want to interrupt, but keep going on.
Yeah, but that's it. It's like, if you expect that out of life, you better fucking be leveling up to be that as 100%. Well. And that's where, even in our marriage, there has been times when I'm like, this is so uncomfortable. And I sat with it, and every time I'm like, what are you learning? What is this? This is, you signed up for this. Go deeper, get bigger, rise stronger. Like, and it's that, and that's exactly also the marriage that I wanted, was a marriage that had so much conviction and passion and trust and faith and power in it, where it was probably most of the time was going to be in an uncomfortable state, because it would never be about settling. It would never be about, okay, we're married now, just flatline. Never. And that's one of the things that I've now adapted to, is realizing like how grateful I am for that constant, almost like, how do I don't want to sound negative at all, but like tension. There's always a tension, meaning like it's pulled tight, because we're always growing. Right. And I can't, like, that's you. That's what we culture our marriage. We create that for each other in it.
One of the things I wanted to talk about with this too, is this sounds great when you're dating. This sounds great when you're new, when things are new. You know what I mean? Or the idea of, okay, well, I'm single. I'm going to go ahead and like set my sails and go this way, and then, you know, I'll take all this advice and so on and so forth. But, you know, fast forward to somebody who's been married 10 years, 12 years, 15 years, 20 years, you know, 5 years, whatever it is. One of the comments that we get a lot, especially we've had some from some of the members of the Lion's Den, you know, we've been married 10 years, or we're here or that, or, you know, how do you spice up your sex life? How do you get more intimate? All of these other questions. The thing that is really powerful to understand is like, this is coming from a guy who was married for 10 years. I was married for 10 years. I was in the relationship that became mundane. There was the monotony. There was the expectations. There was the day-to-day, you know, rigmarole. There was this, there was that. It was like the vacation in the same spot. We did the same things, like very predictable life, right?
Yeah.
Which is where a lot of people end up. And when you get into those patterns, when you get into those experiences, it gets really hard not only to break them, but to see the ability to break them.
Yeah.
And this is something that I really want to emphasize, because we talked about this on the call yesterday, the Lion's Den call, is, you know, if I'm just going to use intimacy as an example, right? A lot of sex lives become flat, for lack of better words. You're dating and you're fucking like crazy and you're blah, 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 blah. You're two rabid animals going at it. And then all of a sudden you have kids, and then this, and then the libido goes down and the testosterone goes down and whatever. And here you are now, like, maybe you're knocking boots once a month, if, you know, maybe less. Like, you know, there's people out there that are struggling in this world, in this reality. This conversation is no different if you've been married 10 years and everything is flat. Like someone asked us on the call yesterday, you know, about sex. Well, how do you spice up your sex life? And I literally said, get your wife in the car on date night, drive down to the sex shop, go into the little secret room in the back with the freaking vibrators and the dildos and the crazy toys and the cock rings and all of the other shit that you've never tried, and go spend a couple $100 and come back with a bag.
Go get a hotel room.
Go to fucking town. Yeah, if you got to have a couple shots of whiskey, go have a couple shots of whiskey, loosen yourself up. But that's exactly how you fucking change the game.
Yeah.
If you're in a place where it's monotonous and it's lethargic and he's this and she's that, and you seem to think that you know each other so well, like, well, he'll say this or she'll say that. And I know this because this is exactly how I was in my relationship. It was like, I know the buttons to push. I know the buttons not to push. I know what makes her upset. I know what doesn't. And we get into that cycle. But literally the same way that you would, if you were single, saying, here's my hard no, this is my new rule. This is the new vision. Here's the 26 boxes, and unless you meet them all, there's nothing here. You could do the same thing. It's literally choosing a new reality, choosing a new experience in a moment, right? If you haven't had a conversation before, if communication is a struggle for you guys, right? Literally going out to dinner and sitting down and puking every single thing out that you've been holding on to, not wanting to talk about, whatever it is, right? Speaking your mind, speaking your truth. There's so many people, and I have a lot of empathy for this because I was married for 10 years. I get it. Like, oh, Sean and Sax, you guys are just in the honeymoon phase. No, I know exactly what being in a long relationship that became monotonous and boring is like. I know exactly what it's like. I fucking did it, which is why you and I are constantly changing and experiencing and talking and communicating. I don't think there is such thing as too much because we want new. We continue to want new. But like those of you that are listening who have, you know, a connection to what I'm talking about right now, it seems so weird, the idea of having a conversation or saying, well, my wife likes this, or I like this, or this is how we do it. There's two thoughts around this. Number one, you're fucking dying. Like, you guys, like, you're not getting any younger. Do you want to live an all-in life? Do you want to be all fucking in, have an insanely crazy sex life and an incredible connection, an amazing conversation?
Just a full life. If
you do, then listen to what we're fucking talking about. Number two, if you're in that space, what's the worst that can happen? Literally think this through for a second. If you're already miserable, if you're already in a place where your relationship's not connected, neither of you is excited about sex or whatever, if you're kind of already flatlining, what's the worst that can fucking happen by you choosing something new right now? Yeah. By saying, hey, you know what? Let's sit down and have this conversation. It doesn't matter who goes first. I'll go first. Bam. And you just puke everything out. Like, what if that's literally the key? What if that's the single action, the one thing that's the bridge between you now and where you want to be?
Yeah.
What if it's literally something as simple as getting in the car and driving down to the sex shop? What if it's something as simple as that, to completely radically rip everything open and explore a completely new world together, right? I use these examples because it's low-hanging fruit, right? But you could be Captain Dad Bod and say, well, my health is this and this and this and this and this. And it takes literally you getting off the couch and showing up at the gym to radically alter the course of your life, and then consistently doing it and being connected to the growth and the change. But I'm not 70 years old. I can't speak to what a 70-year-old would do, but I would like to think that the lifestyle that we have, how we treat our lives, how we communicate, how we explore sex, how we explore each other, how we continue to level each other up. I would like to think that when we're 70 years old, we're still having the same fucking conversations. We're still trying to figure out new places to fuck. We're still trying to, explore each other to open up even more doors and have these types of all-in conversations. But dude, the idea that you're in a space right now where you're stuck and you're I might use that flat line just as this idea where there's really not a whole lot going and not a lot of excitement or newness. For the love of fucking God, it takes one action to alter the course. One fucking action to alter the course.
Yeah, there's so many like self-limiting beliefs too, of thinking like, I look back on me 10 years ago and I'm not even close to the same woman I was 10 years ago. And to put your partner in a box of they are just these things, and it's a short list of blah, blah, blah.
Right.
They will always be this, they've always been this. That's bullshit. Like, that's not real. Like, that's because you don't want to be challenged, and you don't have the cojones to go challenge your fucking partner. Right. And I feel like I have a due diligence in my marriage to push you to become better. And it's not that, you could do that on your own, but I feel like that's what partners do, is they want, they should want to see their person completely transform constantly into something better, and support that. And this doesn't happen through, just sitting around being like, just is the way it is. It doesn't happen through by not having hard conversations. Like, we have really, really, really hard conversations, and they're the best thing that we do, is have these hard conversations. Like, I've evolved more in this relationship than I have probably in the last 10 years put together, because I honor the fact that you have a completely different angle than I'm used to having in my 38 years. And I love that, and I embrace that. And so if you have, maybe one of you guys don't like to have these conversations, you're very comfortable, think about it as what a gift you have, that you have a partner that may see things or have perspectives you don't. Yeah. And trust the fact that you have a partner that loves you and wants to see you have more. And so give it a shot to have a freaking open mind to have more with your partner and with your own life.
Why do you think so many people are scared of that? More the idea of that. Like, I mean, even thinking, and we've talked about, clients that we've had where literally we'll go down a path of finding a mistress and cheating and lying because their sex life wasn't great. And it literally took one conversation of them talking about what they want in their sex life to realize, oh shit, we both want the same thing. We just haven't been willing to communicate on it. Why do you think it is that so many people are in that space?
I think that's just honestly that's the human conditioning. I think that's with everything. Like, we're conditioned to have 401ks for some day in the future. Like, everything is we have a very play it safe society. We're not challenged to push the envelope. We're challenged more to fit in a box. Our education system set up that way. We don't, the kid who asks a million questions becomes a nuisance to a teacher because he's not staying in alignment with the way the book is supposed to be taught. I mean, there's very few of us that are encouraged to ask why, to think bigger, to push it, to question, to this. And so it's like, it's foreign to most people. They've never even probably occurred to them to think like, oh, why do I think like this? Why do I have these beliefs about sex? Women especially in this state, like, why do I have such a weird thing about, my body. Like, why am I so uncomfortable being naked? Where did this come from? Like, we're born naked. Like, when I nurse my kids, I just threw my boob out. I don't care. Like, because that's not my problem. And but that's because that was my belief system. But I've looked at it now. I've been around enough other women, and there's these deep, deep, deep conditions that just that's how we were grown. And I think that's really what it is then you get into a marriage and you have this person and they're like, I buy into that ideology. You buy into that ideology. Let's just keep going safe, instead of really getting into a point where it's like I truly believe like life is like the Matrix. It's it might not be.
Matrix?
I know, but I'm trying to give the people this gently because I totally believe we're in the Matrix. But imagine that you are the creator of your life. Like, you're in a matrix where you can literally have whatever life you freaking want, but you have to believe that. And we are so conditioned to be small and quiet and obedient.
And to settle.
Like, right. It is just how we're raised. You can look at your children's schoolwork and see, like, it's very that. And so it's foreign. And I challenge you. It's so liberating. It's like probably discovering like all the colors when you've only seen like primary colors. Like, it's a magnificent perspective on life when you finally step into that belief system.
Get it, girl.
That's all. Bye, we're done.
Preach. I agree with you. And we talk to enough people. I talk to enough people that I realize that a lot of the stuff that we share and we talk about seems really foreign to people. Like, these conversations are like, well, there's always a but. There's always an asterisk. There's always like, you don't get it.
You're putting that big but in there.
This or this or this. And it's like, I said that most of my life.
Yeah.
35, 36, 37 years. But yeah, the six packs are for somebody else. Six packs are for dudes that spend 6 hours in the gym. I believe that my entire life. 40 years, I believe that. 40 freaking years, I literally sold myself that story. I sold myself that story.
Mm-hmm.
I sold myself that story.
Yeah.
It wasn't anybody else. It wasn't my mom or my dad. I sold myself that story. And then all of a sudden I do this program, 75 hard, and I get ripped to shit and I have a six pack. I was like, oh, wait a second. What other stories am I telling? Right.
Mm-hmm.
And going back to that 80-20 conversation to our friend who's dating, whatnot, it is very, very, very possible. And it's very real for you to have exactly what you want.
Absolutely.
For you to have the partner that you want, the life that you want, the business, the income, the body that you want. It is, without question, it is as real as if you look up at the sun.
Mm-hmm.
Question is, we always talk about, who do you have to become?
Yeah.
What do you have to do that? Who do I have to become to say no to good things in order for me to get great things?
Yeah.
Who do I have to become to be able to have a six pack? Who do I have to become to have the woman that I have vision in my brain? Who do I have to become to be able to make ABC, XYZ amount of money? Who to make millions of dollars? Who do I have to become? And I truly believe that getting radically clear on your vision of exactly what you want and then becoming obsessed is the ticket.
Life, God, deity, universe, whatever, will give you exactly what you believe you deserve.
Right.
Exactly.
And what you work for.
Right. But that's what I'm meaning. Like,
Right.
if you have conviction, if your conviction is small and it is limiting and it is in scarcity, that's exactly what it will give you.
Right.
It's like the vibration matches. You like attracts like. Like, if you want less, if you want small, if you want to find pain and agony and scarcity and all of this negativity, it will find you too, honey. Like, it will find you. You will match with whatever. The universe will give you what you believe you deserve and what you work for. And in that conviction, that's where it comes in. It's like, you have to believe with everything in your fucking soul that that's what you want. And when you do, you will be pulled in a direction to keep leveling up, and that will come to you. But you cannot doubt it. Like, you have to fucking believe that and work your ass off.
Yeah, and work your ass off. That's the caveat to it. That's where people get scared.
We still work our ass off. This relationship, we get, and that's what I love is, like, I get to look at stuff.
It's not an issue of still. It's like we have to get to here, and we work every day.
This relationship challenges all of my conditioning, and I share this very openly. I came from a very deep-rooted abandonment. I had deep-rooted abandonment issues, and this relationship has put me in literally the fire of standing and feeling that, and I had to make some hard decisions that was not my fucking truth. Mm-hmm. And it's reprogramming, but like I don't even know how to explain it, but it's not necessarily painful, but it's the most uncomfortable space I've ever sat in. And I alone got to make a new choice. And that's exactly what I wanted in my marriage, that it rewrote all my bullshit stories. And truthfully, you can do a lot of work on your own, but you can't do certain work until you're in these spaces.
Right.
I have a family member that reached out to me recently, and she was just like, how in the fuck, she was in a hard space, and she was sharing like, how do you pull yourself out of this? And it's like, you sit right there and you write a new fucking story. You change the course of your entire conditioning and your belief system, and you don't tolerate that bullshit anymore. Mm-hmm. And congratulations. There you go.
It's funny, as you were saying this, I was thinking about social media is a great tool. And whenever I post about money, like the $1,000 dinner that we did, right? There's all of these, it's just an interesting mindset that people have. Mm-hmm. When you talk about, and you just mentioned it, if you were going to get what you believe you deserve, like if you don't believe you deserve goodness and richness and love and compassion and connection and wealth and health, you're never going to fucking have it.
No.
You're never going to have it. And it's interesting, as you're saying that, I was just envisioning all these comments I always see from people that are like, I'm not really interested in making millions, or I don't really have a desire to make millions. I just want to be able to do this, or I want to be able to do that, right? And that's such a limiting thought process.
Yeah.
You're literally telling yourself, I don't want these things.
And the universe is like, okay.
And it's kind of like, I truly believe deep down everybody wants goodness. Everybody wants big, right?
Yeah.
Now, whether everybody gets it is a completely different fucking story. But you don't grow up as a kid thinking small. You want to be a fucking astronaut.
Yeah.
When you're a little kid, you think you can climb these trees, and sometimes you do, and sometimes you fall down and
the world
break
tells
your
you
fucking
to
leg, right?
Be small.
But really think about that for a second, friends. Like, as we make these posts and share and comment, like the mindset literally of saying, well, I'm not really interested in making millions of dollars, or I just want somebody to love me, or I want somebody to meet me, or to buy me flowers, or, I don't, or all of these other negative thought processes. Like, we could go down a completely separate rabbit hole on the mindset of all of this, which, maybe we do in the future, but like really truly understanding, friends, that your mind is so fucking powerful. You literally have the ability to declare something and to build it and to have it and to obtain it. And there's nothing. I can't think of anything that you can't go do.
Absolutely.
You can't go get. You can't go build. But it boils down to literally that 80-20. Are you going to settle for okay? Are you going to settle for good enough? This is good enough. This business is good enough. This income is good enough. This person is good enough. Like this will make me, I'll be happy. I'll never truly be elated, but I'll be happy. And I'm okay there. And that's to each their own. If that's what you choose,
Sure.
that's what you choose. But
and that's what you'll get.
Just know that's exactly what you're going to get. But if you look at it and say, I got 20 boxes, and until somebody meets those 20 fucking boxes, it's a hard pass. And people might say, well, yeah, but you're too picky, or yeah, but you're this, or yeah, but
that's
you're
it.
that.
That's what our friend that we mentioned in the very beginning,
Right.
That's what her other friend said. Oh, you're just too picky.
Right.
And she's like, no, I'm not too fucking picky. Like, I want exactly what I want in life. And until then, I'm good.
Yeah.
Like,
well, and becoming that person.
Yep.
The difference between 1.0 and 2.0 for you and I is that we weren't the people that we needed to be for the other person.
Correct.
And that's what was the differentiating factor between 1.0 and 2.0. Is 1.0 we kind of like tasted it, was like, yo, this is different. This is interesting. This is bringing out some shit that I haven't experienced before. But we hadn't individually elevated to that level in our mind to be able to have it. It's almost like, you see you have this vision, you see part of it, and you're like, that sounds really great, but, and we were still in that but world.
Yeah.
And it took us 6 months to pull our heads out of our asses to go, oh, wait a second. Like, this is exactly what I want.
Yeah.
And this is who I need to be in order to have that. And then all of a sudden it's like, just our own personal story, we reconnect, and it was just instant. It was like, oh, shit, okay.
And that's what I had to learn to do the scariest thing. I had to develop a new way of being based on that 6 months is I didn't speak my truth. I'm terrified. I still, even this podcast, I get nervous. Like sometimes I was terrified in the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like getting better at it now, but speaking, like I had a really closed throat chakra. Like I really struggled because what happens if I say something that doesn't vibe with you? Then I fear rejection, which validates my abandonment issues. I'm a recovering perfectionist. If I'm not perfect and I fuck up and you don't like it, well, then that's like the end of my world. And this is how I was. And I had to become someone who spoke truth. And the whole thing of the memes about like speak your truth even if your voice shakes, that's real for me. That's me. Like my voice still trembles when I have to say something, and I do it anyways because that's what I want in my marriage. And the more you do uncomfortable things, because as you want more, it's like strengthening a new muscle. It's easier and gets easier and gets easier. And then there's new levels and new things come up where I have to like, look at this thing. And that's the beauty about the evolution of life and self and marriages. It's a never ending thing. You'll always be faced with something new. And it's, do you want more or will you settle in? And I refuse to settle. Shake and bake.
Good for you, babe. Good for you. I just got a shake and bake and a fist bump for those of you that are not watching.
I love you.
Yeah, that was great, babe. Good job. Well, guys, babe, anything else you want to share? You're on a roll today.
I really
You're
have
on
a lot to
fire
say today.
Yeah, it's good.
I know.
I like it.
I went down the rabbit hole last night in the bathtub, and I've just been on since. So you're welcome, everyone.
You're welcome.
Sorry you weren't in the bath with us.
This is eventually we got to do that. We've talked about it. That's how we started this thing. Is that we were just going to do podcasts in the bathtub. Maybe we'll get around to that. We'll just have to get some boom mics in there and have at it. Yeah.
I'll wear some pasties so it's appropriate.
We'll
Does it make it appropriate?
Lots of bubbles in the bath. A blind crew, yeah. Do you have is there a blind sound crew out there?
Boobs.
Film crew. How come they're just filming the ceiling? You hired a blind guy, so he didn't see your boobs. You've recorded the ceiling just fine. Shit. Okay, guys.
Oh,
hey, if you know somebody, my only ask of this is if you know somebody that vibes with this, if you know somebody who's in this space right now, either one, trying to figure the game out and wondering how they're going to find their person, create their relationship, build their deal, share this with them. Mm-hmm. And then obviously if you're in the space where you know somebody who might be already settled in, maybe flatlining, maybe struggling with this, share this podcast with them. I think this is a good one. I think this is a good conversation.
Couples retreats coming soon.
Yeah, we've been asked quite a bit about what we're doing in 2022, and we are going to be launching some really cool couples things, some retreats and different things like that, where we get to have all these great conversations with people in person, which I think would be really cool. We love the conversation in our relationships. I think, there's a lot of people out in the marketplace that have a lot of great content, a lot of great information, but I said this before and I'll say it again, like there really aren't too many stories that you would share that Sax and I probably couldn't relate to or have experienced. Like there's really not a whole lot that anybody has experienced in life that we haven't had an experience with as well. Yeah. And I feel like being in this stage right now, it's like we kind of threw everything to the wind and said, fuck it.
I thought they were really dumb choices. Now it was just like content for this show, for my future self. Oh, that's why I went through all those dumb things. That's why I did that. I could talk about it today.
Yeah. Well, guys, all in 80-20. Don't settle. All the boxes are. No, it's a hard pass.
We support you. Do it.
Be in, man. I mean, we're a living testament to it. Mm-hmm. We literally are a living testament that it is possible. It is real. And again, there's a lot of discouragement around it. Your clock might be ticking. You might be thinking, when's the person going to be here? Blah, blah. Whatever. And at the end of the day, that just means it's more of a chance for you to get to level up, to get to the place where you become the person that would be capable. I don't want to say worthy, but capable of being with the type of person that you've envisioned and imagined.
Yes.
Amen.
Just a ruthless savage.
A ruthless fucking savage. Yeah. By the way, did you wipe off all the marker from the wall
Yeah.
last night?
Yeah. I
Good
took
thing you weren't like having some cocktails and fucking Sharpie on the wall.
I just hopped out of bed and I was like, I'm in the rabbit hole.
It was really cool.
Yeah.
It was cool. All right, guys, we love you. Thanks for tuning in. Please like, please comment, please share. Until next time, ciao.
Love y'all. Bye.